You know, every time I think that Donald Trump can't go any lower, he exceeds my expectations. I'm sure many of you by now have heard the news that Donald Trump released a very racist, vile AI-generated video that showcases himself as the king of the jungle, as a lion. And in that video showcases former President of the United States, Barack Obama, and his wife, former First Lady Michelle Obama, as primates, as apes. This is the image that Donald Trump thought was so cute. Anybody inside of this country and outside of the United States knows how incredibly offensive this trope is, to equate black people to apes, monkeys, chimpanzees, primates. We know. And usually there's some plausible deniability involved where people could say, oh, the president isn't racist. Oh, you guys are going off of this old thing from the 70s. No, still relevant today in 2026. Still very relevant in 2026. This man has been espousing racist views since the 70s. And now we're in 2026 and it has not changed. And here we have this disgusting, vile picture coming not just from some regular TikTok account or some X account, but from the Oval Office. And then we see the great defender-in-chief, Caroline Leavitt, who defends any and everything that Donald Trump does. Like he is her Lord and Savior, saying that basically this is a bunch of fake outrage. Fake outrage? In this country? Where black people were chattel? Fake outrage. I want to read this post from the Washington Post, and I'm going to get into my comments because I have quite a few. By the way, I have been absent this week from doing any episodes here on the podcast because I've been very ill. I've been very sick. And this morning, I woke up and I just was like, I will drag my snotty nose on this platform. I will drag my snotty nose on this platform to have this conversation because to say it pissed me off it's an understatement. This is from the Washington Post. It says President Donald Trump used his social media account, to share a video about election conspiracy theories that includes a racist depiction of former President Barack Obama and his wife, Michelle Obama, as primates in a jungle. The Republican president's Thursday night post immediately drew bipartisan backlash for its treatment of the nation's first black president and first lady, who are Democrats. It was part of a flurry of social media activity that amplified Trump's false claims that the 2020 election was stolen from him. This man is now the current president. This is me adding this in. And he's still going on about this foolishness. Despite courts around the country and a Trump attorney general from his first term finding no evidence of fraud that could have affected the outcome. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt rejected criticism of the post that depicted the Obamas, who are Democrats. An Obama spokeswoman said the former president had no response. This is something that the Obamas have dealt with for years. And this is one time I 100% with him not even saying a word. Don't even address this clown. And that is exactly what Donald Trump is, a clown. And a racist. We don't get to skirt that issue anymore. We don't get to say, oh, he said some racist things. Yes, because that's what racists do. They say racist things. This is not a man on the street espousing racist views. This is the President of the United States. This is the commander-in-chief, the leader of the free world, who has tremendous influence, whose administration sets policy that affects people like you and me. That's the danger in this. People will take a post like this, and because they become so desensitized to it, and that's one of the adverse reactions or the adverse consequences, I suppose, when you make fun of everything and you paint him as a jester, a court jester, as people don't take things like this seriously. They think, oh, it's cute, it's funny, because it's not being directed towards you. This man is insane. And I'm not his doctor to diagnose him, but he does seem like he's on a serious cognitive decline. No different than we would say what Joe Biden was exhibiting. There is something wrong with this man. And every time you think he cannot go any further, he proves you wrong. I heard a commentator say that this post was the equivalent of saying the N-word. I would 100% agree with that. He might as well just come out and say that. I mean, at this point, I don't even need him to say it. We already know who he is. We already know what he is. It's vile and hurtful. And I'm so happy that the Obamas have not even responded to it. And I hope they never respond to it. I hope they never respond to it. They've spent 8 years, more than 8 years, responding to this foolishness. I've shared on my platform commentary and videos and photos of people who have created these cartoons and these memes about Michelle Obama likening her to a chimpanzee, an ape, over the years, and how offensive it was. And you know what I got in the comment section from some people? Not all, because there are white people who came into the comment section who said that was so hurtful. There are others who say you can't take a joke. Oh, you can't take a joke? When you dehumanize somebody and someone calls it out, I can't take a joke? At this point, for me, it's not enough to just inwardly feel like this is wrong. Oh, he's wrong. I don't care if you support him or not. I don't. But I've always said, call this man out when he does something that is egregious. And there's no way you could be, unless you believe them to be apes, unless you believe that black people are less than human, that they're animals, there's no way you can look at that and think that that's cute, not given the history of this country. There's no way. Tim Scott had something to say. He was one of the few people who spoke out. Let me see if I can find it here. Because, you know, one thing I don't expect Fox News to say anything, at least not in the way they would if someone had said something egregious about Melania Trump or Donald Trump. They would have had roundtables for this, right? They would have had roundtables. But I don't expect them to say anything. They might mention it in passing on somebody's show. But they've already picked their side and they're staying there, and it's sick. And this is why, too, before I get into Tim Scott's response, why it's so important, ladies and gentlemen, to support independent media. Like my platform, even if you don't like my platform, support independent media. Support other content creators who you love, who are able to call these things out and speak truth to power. Support them. With not just your views, not just your comments and your likes, support them financially so they can continue talking about these issues that get sideswept by mainstream media. Because you all will stay in the dark. If the YouTubers and the people on X and the people on TikTok and Instagram and these people, they don't speak out and represent your views and say when things are wrong, support independent media, please. Excuse me. This is Tim Scott from South Carolina. He's the only black Republican senator, by the way. So he's been an ally of Trump's, by the way. Many of you know that Trump is definitely his friend. Where's the comment? He says, praying it was fake because it's the most racist thing I've seen out of this White House. The president should remove it. That's what he said. There are folks who are criticizing Tim Scott like, oh, too little, too late. Stop it, please. Please stop it. Because he's one of the few people who's actually said something. Either you want people to speak up and speak out, or you don't. But you don't get to say, oh, nobody's saying anything. Nobody's condemning this man. And then when someone does it, you go, oh, it's too little, too late. He said something. At least appreciate that. It wasn't the strongest statement to me. He should remove it. He should be groveling and apologizing to the Obamas. And this was not just a racist video. This was an anti-black racist video. that's very targeted, very specific towards black people. Donald Trump has a serious issue with black people. This is a man who said, I'm probably the least racist person there is out there. Really? Really? You? Who still has some, pending litigation against him from the Central Park Five? A man who tried to keep black people out of housing in New York in the 70s? A man who said we could use more immigrants from Norway and more white countries than, he didn't say white countries, but that's what the inference, rather than S-hole countries that were predominantly populated by black people. A man who, and I said on my own platform, uses DEI hire as a slur to me. Because you're talking about black people when you're talking about these DEI hires. You're not talking about white women. You're talking about black people. And the inference that we are not up to scratch and we're not qualified. We're only there because of the color of our skin. No other reason. This was so, I know people would say you shouldn't be shocked, and I shouldn't be, because this is who he is and this is who he's always been. But it's just like, it's to the point. What's this guy's name? Charlie Murphy, who used to be on Chappelle's show. He made a statement one time in referring to Rick James, and he said he was a habitual line crosser. And that's what I find Donald Trump to be, a habitual line crosser. And if we think that this is the worst that it could get, it's not. It's not. It'll continue. And you know what's crazy to me is the people who will laugh this off and support what he did and say you're taking yourself too seriously. Watch the comment section down below. Watch. You could call me names because I know it's coming. You could tell me go back to my country because I know it's coming. You could say whatever you want. Those things don't move me. If they move me, I wouldn't be on this platform. They don't affect me. They don't hurt me. It's a reflection of you, that you would defend something so indefensible. I mentioned Fox News. It said, they're going to be on the quiet. I want you all to watch this YouTube space. For those of you who are watching on YouTube, watch the YouTube space. And look and see if Megyn Kelly addresses this, and if she does, how she addresses it. I would be pleasantly surprised if she condemned him. If she does, kudos to her, because I don't know what she's planning to do or say. But I find that a lot of content creators, particularly black content creators who are in the conservative space, or people of color who are in the conservative space, watch the way the treatment. I always tell you all, I watch everyone. TYT, Midas Touch, Megyn Kelly. What's the guy's name? Officer Tatum. From time to time, is it Tate or Tatum? Tatum. From time to time. I watch a lot of people. You have to keep an eye on everyone and how they're dealing with everything. Watch them and see how they handle this, if they even address it, and how they're going to downplay this, because they are so afraid of the mob, so afraid of their people turning on them. I have been harassed on this platform. I've had people downvote my channel and my videos. I've had people unsubscribe. It doesn't stop me, because when right is right and wrong is wrong, I call it out regardless. And I will always say this statement, and you all who've been here for years now know I've said this, that when Donald Trump does something right, I will give him his props. And when he does something wrong, I will condemn him for it. And on this post and this point, he is being condemned by me in the worst way, because I am so hurt for the Obamas. And one could say, well, they've been through this a million times, so they're probably used to this. You don't get used to this. You might learn different coping mechanisms, but you don't get used to this. You think it's cool for that man, Barack Obama, who had to be a perfect president in this country, to keep being likened to an ape and to watch his wife being... He has 2 daughters. You think they're cool with their parents being likened to apes? That man had to walk a fine and narrow road, a fine and narrow path, never messing up in the eyes of America, because he understood the weight of the office that was on his back. Had to walk out of office without a scandal. You think that he could have done a 16th or a 100th of what Donald Trump has done in office and still been president of the United States? You think Barack Obama could have done that? You've got to be kidding me. And for all the people who are supporting this post, because there are people who are supporting this post and just, it's a joke. It's a joke. It's not a big deal. Watch these people. You see, there are some white folks who don't care about being called racist right now. They don't care about being called racist. They say, oh, you can call everybody racist. And yes, there is a danger in doing that. You don't just call everybody racist just because they may have a problem with you. That doesn't make them racist, right? But there are people who are racist. Let's just be real. And they don't have an issue with it because of who's in office. But I've said before on this platform that pendulums swing, and pendulums swing wide from there to there. It takes a very long time to get to the center. And because of the extremism that's happening now, it's going to swing wide once again if the Republicans are voted out of office. And these people who are so proud to put these things on their platform and saying vile, nasty things and co-signing it, and they think it's fun to do it on TikTok, all these people, they're going to regret it. They're going to be trying to scrub their TikTok pages and their X pages and scrub everything because they don't want to be held accountable for what they said in 2026. Please be smart. Please be smart. And think how you would feel if someone said this to you. And maybe you have no frame of reference because, as a white person in this country, you're not the minority. So you don't have any frame of reference. You don't feel marginalized. You can take it as a joke, right? Because it doesn't affect you. But make it something else that would affect you. And tell me if you're still laughing. And again, that goes back to when you desensitize a nation. This is also a man whose administration is busy tearing down exhibits to slavery, like in Philadelphia, trying to whitewash history. And that's a problem. And people think, let me be specific, white people think, let me be even more specific, some white people think, because I don't want to label everybody because it's not fair. There are some white people who think that why should we be reminded of this constantly? Why should this be put in our face constantly? It's not put in your face constantly. It's just a reminder of the past so we don't repeat it in the future. And no amount of whitewashing, no amount of plastering his name on buildings is going to change anything. It's not going to change anything. Everybody should condemn what Donald Trump did. And he needs to not post anymore. And he is surrounded by people who don't check him. No trusted advisor. I guess he couldn't have the type of advisor who would say you're wrong. He doesn't have that anymore. He's unbridled. Nobody is strong enough, brave enough to step to him and say, no. I wouldn't want to be a part of that. And I want to say this final thing before I go. I don't know what it is. But Donald Trump has the biggest political hard-on for Barack Obama. He always has. I don't get it. He's clearly massively jealous of this gentleman. He's massively jealous of Barack Obama. Massively. Barack Obama is a man who could sit on a platform and speak without stuttering. He's so coherent. Okay? And so knowledgeable and so professional and presidential. And Donald Trump is the antithesis of that. He's brash, he's blustery, he's full of bravado. And sometimes that works in politics. People love people with charisma. You don't have to be Barack Obama. But you don't have to be that. You don't have to be that extreme. But he has something in for Barack Obama. Maybe he's jealous of the fact that Barack Obama can go places and people stand up and applaud, whether they're on the Democratic side, independent or Republican. There's a respect level there that he just does not get. And again, I will say to my viewers who are Republicans, and let me say this too, before I get to that, there are Republicans who are not Trump supporters, you know. I know people just kind of like put those two together. There are people who support Trump who aren't Republicans, or people who are Republicans who don't support Trump. You know, there are people who were Democrats who voted for Donald Trump in the last election. They're not really beholden to him. But for those of you who love him, you can love him. You can like certain qualities about him, but can you truly be okay with someone saying and doing things like this? If you were saying that about your father or your mother, you'd be okay? This man has a history, ladies and gentlemen, of denigrating people. Denigrating people. He does not care about anyone but himself. I cannot even say his family, himself. Watch him and his actions. He cares about no one and nothing but himself. And it's sad. So support him all you want. I have no issue with that. I like I said, I don't care who you support. But my God, be able to call people out when they do foolishness and say crazy things and racist, anti-black things. Call them out. Drop your comments down below. I plan to have a video on Sunday. And we'll just go from there. And it's going to be not really a continuation because that video came before this one. It's going to be an interesting conversation. And it's going to be a long video as well. So be sure to tune in for that. And again, please support independent media. Support my channel. A thumbs up, a share, comment down below. You can support by becoming a channel member. All the details are in the description box. And I'm not just asking for support from me. I'm asking you to support independent media on the whole. No matter who you might like on YouTube or TikTok or wherever, please support these people. Because you cannot find the truth, the whole truth, in a lot of these mainstream media. If there's something against the Democrats, you'll find it on Fox, OAN News, the New York Post, yes, sure. And if there's something against the Republican Party, you'll find it on MS Now and CNN and all these other outlets. You will. But if you're looking for a platform, and I believe my platform is that just calls out both sides when they're in the wrong and gives them their props when they're in the right, left or right, then please support this channel. I'll see you in the next episode.